To our viewers, 7 Digital Radio. And of course, we are also live on Kenya News Alerts pale YouTube. My name is Tamara Patience. Now, of course, I am joined with a gentleman ambaye tutakuwa tunamkaribisha ndani even soon. But before anene mengi, just introduce yourself, then we continue. A familiar face.
My name is Emmanuel Bosire, and I'm here with you to discuss this wonderful discussion.
Yeah. Naam. So today, karibu sana. First of all, I hope that you've had yourself a fantastic day, if it is daytime. Huku Kenya ama East Africa, it is exactly 7:50 p.m. Yani 7:50 usiku. And right about now, we just want to delve into what has been happening, or what is happening in the Kenyan scene, in the leadership scene, of course, along or together with Emmanuel Apakando. So early on in the day, tulimona Governor wa Nairobi, that is Johnson Sakaja, actually offering a job to a mother of 5 children. Akapromise watoto watano wote wataenda shule, and also promised the mother job pale shule as a cook. So I don't know if the producer is ready with the video before. Okay, tosubiria kiasi. But we saw this act that happened today pale Ruaraka constituency in Babadogo Primary School, ambapo Sakaja alikuwa anaongea during the Dishi na county event launch, and the woman actually just jumped on stage, made her way, not jumped on stage, but just made her way to the stage wakiwa pamoja na watoto wake, na governor akakuwa very, should we say generous, was very generous to this lady, and offered the 5 kids school education, that is aliwa promise education, na kambepea yule mama, we are going to give you work. And of course, this actually elicited a lot of reactions from the people. Now I just love to read 1, 2, 3 comments that are there before producer shares the video. So the first comment, kuna mtu alisema, of course, God bless Sakaja, and mwingine akasema congratulations to the governor, of course, is doing a good work. And kuna wengine, let me see, let's scroll. This should be done to everyone in the same state. Mwingine yule akasema, as I scroll, I like what he's doing, but why must our children not go to school because of school fees? Why can't the government make primary and secondary education free? Na aka insist hapo akasema absolutely free, as Kibaki did so that we have to start struggling from at least university. Yani yuko maoni yake anaitwa Odaro team. He says that, you know what, why don't we make education absolutely free, so that mzazi usistresike when you want to do like primary school education fees or university fees, but uanze kupambana pale university fees. Anyway, let's just play the video, alafu turudi pia tusikie maoni yake Emmanuel on that.
Mulembe mia. Mulembe swa. Nataka watoto mulembe te waende shule. Asanteni Mheshimiwa Rais. Nashukuru kuungana na wewe leo kwa sasa kongamano hili la maombi ya shukrani. Na tulivyoambiwa na Bishop, wale ambao wako primary school kweli watu waenroll hapa, jambo nzuri kuliko kuja shule wote, sema asante. Mambo yote wanahitaji mimi nitatoa. Na nakumbuka Mheshimiwa Rais tutampatia kazi hapa kuja hapa Posta Grounds. Kwa hiyo si unajua kupika? So utajua wale wanapika kwa hizo koni. Sawa sawa. But kabla ya hiyo chukua hiyo, enda ununue chakula, watengeneze uniform. Sawa, asante. Pea. Mr. Wanaina kwa wapi? Please karibu. Mama anasema anataka watoto
waende shule na mama hana kazi. Sasa lazima tuwasaidie hawa watoto wale ambao wako primary school, wacha waenroll hapa, wakuje shule wote, mambo yote wanahitaji mimi nitatoa. Alafu mama tutampatia kazi hapa. Kwa hii si unajua kupika? So utajua wale wanapika kwa hizi koni. Sawa sawa. But kabla ya hiyo chukua hiyo, enda ununue chakula, watengeneze uniform. Sawa, asante. Pea huyu majina yako, mwende hivi nyuma. Haya, jamini. Asanteni. Wapatie security. Tutamchunga, tutampatia security. Wachoni niendelee. Unajua lazima tupendane na lazima tuangaliane. Najua ni wengi wanahitaji kazi. Najua kuna vijana wengi wako kwa dimanga. Pole nitawapanga. Sawa sawa. Kuna wengine tumewaandika kazi kwa environment, jikoni. Lazima iwaka na kazi itakuja. Sawa sawa.
Yes, so those are the sentiments of the Nairobi governor, that is Johnson Sakaja, during the Dishina County event launch yenye ilikuwa ina happen pale Ruaraka constituency. And of course, tumeona pia from the comment section kuna watu wameongelea masomo story, education, free education. We've also seen the governor, you've had the governor akitap in onto matters ya employment hapo. Sijui kwa maoni yako Emmanuel, unaona vipi?
It's hope. It's hope to a Kenyan na ni furaha kwa Wakenya. The reason why watu wanakaribia waheshimiwa kwamba wao ndio kuna hope. And now when you give hope to a Kenyan, Mkenya wa kawaida, inakuwa ni furaha. Lakini vile vile tuweze kusema kwamba when we give you leadership positions, when you have been given power to be in a political office, a governance office in this case, you have every duty to use the opportunity you have to come up with policies that will see the improvement of our Kenyan lives.
Okay.
To this, I'm referring to policies which will be brought up through your office as a governor, through your county, through the House of MCAs. They come up with policies that are going to help curb unemployment cases in our country. Now, this one will be to many Kenyans. You know, the one who benefited today is only one individual. But there are still many Kenyans who are lacking employment. So how best can we bring these Kenyans together to a similar understanding of giving them opportunities? So when we formulate good policies as a country or as a county, we come with more creative ways of employing our people. And then we're going to reduce this burden, even to you as politicians, whereby you have people following you everywhere you go. So this is, in as much it is a good hope to the people, but still something better can be done of the governor. Mr. Sakaja is a good governor. He can govern well a county, but still there's much we expect from him. A lot of Kenyans voted for him in Nairobi to make him a governor. So much is being expected from him to bring better policies. So one of the better policies or one of the things he did today is an act of charity, which maybe he never planned. You know, you can go to somewhere as a leader, and then you find something that you never planned coming out. So when it came up, he had to use wisdom to handle that case and award him a job. And you still want to say, in as much it's a good thing, act of kindness, we need, we expect much from our leaders as a country to come up with better policies that we see the case of unemployment being sorted out. If you don't sort out the case of employment, then let's come with SMEs and expand our businesses. So people, if you are not employed, you are in a position to employ yourself. And when you employ yourself, you are able again to employ other people whom the government is or rather be unable to employ direct. Yeah.
But pia swali lingine linaraisika hapa because hatujakata whatever the Nairobi governor is doing is actually something good. It's actually something great, especially when it comes to offering education to kids, because unajua wanasema hawa ndio viongozi wa kesho, you know, they're the leaders of tomorrow. But there is a question that has been raised, especially by people in the comment section, which a lot of Kenyans are also asking huku nje ya kwamba sometimes does it force you to actually be vocal about your problems ndio uweze kusaidika huku nje, especially with politicians, you know? Because from time to time you've seen in political events, it's only when someone comes up, a citizen comes up na aseme, this is what I am going through. I am not able to like feed my family of 10 and all that. Hapo ndipo unaona pia mwanasiasa anachangamka, alafu anasema sasa, yes, for my county, I am going to do this, I am going to do this, I am going to do this. Like, if that is the case, are we looking at a possible, now you see a Nairobi sector, only I'm just looking at it generally in Kenya, you know, is there going to be a point, or at what point is it going to reach, yenye utapata county, for example, ya Nairobi county, sindio? Watoto wengi wameenda shule. Upate Kajiado, we are talking about less cases of children who are not able to go to school. We are talking about cases of less people who are unemployed. Like, does it have to reach to that point? Because in my opinion, naona ni kama saa zingine unangoja unaamshwa kidogo, like unachunwa kidogo, and then that is when now you react, you know? But when you react, you probably help like one person. Unajua? What about the rest?
Now, it's a good question, and it's a good concern by Kenyans. And this is what I was referring to. We don't need you as a leader to come directly to the ground to assist someone, so that we Kenyans, we can say that your acts of kindness or your acts of charity are good. And in most cases in our country, those acts of kindness are the ones which are being used as a campaign tool.
Sure.
But let's have a country whereby anybody or anyone, you are able to wake up, do your activities, go up and down, search for employment, get an employment, and you're able to run your life as a Kenyan. This one will be brought up by better policies. Now, when we have cases of poverty in schools, it's true that down the line, the cases of the unlearned people in our country are going down. This is as a result of the free primary education and secondary school a program which was run out first by President Kibaki and then followed by Uhuru Kenyatta. So these programs whereby we are having free primary and secondary education programs have helped majority of Kenyans who were unable to pay for the education needs of their children. So by the government intervening and bringing in free primary and secondary education, but still, at the moment, there are many parents who are unable still to provide for these children in both public and private schools. So the government will be working out for better ways to ensure that every child, from any aspect where you come from, you are able to access education. This is why if we make education to be accessible to all, not to majority. If now we make it accessible to all Kenyans, then we are able to be assured that our generation, our demographic people are going to get required skills. So when you are able to get the required skills, then you are able to get yourself a job. If not get yourself a job, you are able to start a trade and a career in any aspect, depending with your talent and skills. Now, this one will help you and help your families, and will remove this picture of waiting to be assisted by a politician, or you must be in a WhatsApp group, or you must come to social media and make a claim, I'm able to run myself, I'm able to feed myself. And this one, as many politicians tend to use it, they want to show acts of kindness in public. They want someone to come up and say on social media and the TV and media that I'm suffering, I'm unable to do this. It's when you can see many politicians coming up. Now, let's have an instance. How many Kenyans are able to come to social media? Only a few. But majority are unable to come up to the public and ask for help. And this will be bringing us to another discussion of issues to do with mental health, issues to do with personality issues. So we want to have a country whereby we don't have to come to public to plead with the public to assist us, but we want to have a country where policies are formulated through the parliament, through the Senate, through the county assemblies, whereby each and every Kenyan, you are able to afford to the expenses of the day, you are able to run yourself. Yeah.
Most definitely. Na tukiruka pale kwenye comment section, I'm seeing someone saying nothing like it. Just a game of animals in the animal farm. Look at the issue. One seems to have been cornered, but still is crying live. Meanwhile, these guys and their families are stinking rich. Imagine a daughter gifting her mom 1 million as if it's simple change, but the folks they send to the streets to throw stones don't even have dirty water to take. This is a bad game. Sijui kama ingiliana na what Sakaja is doing, but he mentions what the rich are actually doing. Yani inakuwa ni kama whatever you're giving to the people is like pocket change, you know. But jinsi ulivyosema, we are seriously and sincerely like looking for change out here. And of course, what the governor is doing is good. And in my personal opinion, like ingekuwa ni every single place they put out the initiatives to actually help majority of the people, like majority of wale watu wanaumia, those who are not employed, like to create jobs for them. And also someone mentioned the issue of probably looking at returning the free education system, you know, free primary education, free high school education. Because you can see hata juzi hivi wazazi wameshinda complain because of the amount of fees, the amount of problem fees when you wanapaswa kulipa for the university students once the students like go into university. And of course, most definitely we are going to keep you up to date with that, because when you enter university, it's actually September is actually coming. Today is the 28th of August, that is in Kenya, and September, it's just next week. So most definitely we're going to be seeing what is happening to the parents who are supposed to take their kids to school, kwa sababu watu wanashinda wakilia huku nje, or the school fees is high. We also know that life imekuwa expensive nowadays. We also know that life imekuwa expensive nowadays. We've seen a lot of people are struggling, unemployment, as we've said, you know. So probably we're looking for change, but it's a wise decision. Like we say, big up to Mr. Governor for what he's done. And may he continue.
And maybe
same,
before you go on, we need to understand how the Kenyan politics is being run.
Okay.
So in Kenya, okay, the gap between the rich and poor is still widening. And by look of things, it will be still widening because the poor has nobody to run to help him or her as a country. So the person whom the poor should be running to is the leader, not leader as an individual, but the whole system of governance.
Yes.
Now, if we have a team of leaders who are being elected into governance offices, and indeed their aim be to improve the life of a common mwananchi, then the common mwananchi will be having someone to refer us to be helping with the needs. But when we have the case whereby those in governments are working ways to see them still remaining in power, you know, it's here in Africa, especially in Kenya, we have a leader serving for long. Someone starts as an MP, someone grows the bar until someday that person becomes a president. But when you go down and ask, what have you done to improve the lives of Kenyans? Then you'll be told you're fighting the president. You're fighting the government.
Yeah.
We've done much. That should not be the case. You know, the main reason why you come to politics, especially in developed countries, when you bring interest that you want to enter into a governance position, you have to be investigated a lot. Many things should be asked about you. What have you done to improve the lives of these people? Now that you want them to give you an opportunity to be in a government position. But that's now the opposite in Africa, especially in our country, Kenya. You find someone joining into a political office, not for the benefit of a common mwananchi, but for the individual benefits, for
selfish
the individual
gains.
selfish needs. That's why you find them coming into politics. They use every mean possible to take that governance seat. And when that person takes a governance seat, they'll be around telling you that we wasted a lot of money in politics. Now what we are doing, we are returning back where we invested in politics. Now, if they invested in corruption, you know, when politics is, you see politicians running up and down with money, bribing voters to vote for them. But now, when they get that seat, instead of bringing development to Kenyans, they are running up and down, telling you that we invested much in you. Now, give us a break. Let's return back what we invested in you. And honest be said, that could be true because from business, you invest somewhere, you want to see a profit. So if they come and take politics as a business in a country, and actually that's what's being done. So I come, I invest in politics, political seat, maybe in an MP seat, maybe in a governor seat, and then I invest well. So at the end of the day, when I get this position, first I have to return what I invested at the cost of the Kenyan taxpayers. So we waste Kenyans mwananchi's money for our individual benefits, and then when we get one or few calls for people wanting our help, we come telling the public how we are able to do acts of kindness. So this is a very bad strategy, and unless we Kenyans wake up and refuse this strategy in politics, it will be too late for us to reduce the gap between the rich and the poor. And you talked about this issue by I must come to the public. That one is only for a few. And for someone indeed to come to the public, he or she has undergone a lot. So we need to have these policies which are being formulated, well formulated, whereby if the government is unable to create jobs as the alternative, to create room for a favorable environment where people are able to trade out their commodities, where you are able to trade your services as a country, or even open up ways for people to move and become global citizens. You know, the 21st century, we are in a global, you are a global citizen. If opportunities don't favor you in Kenya, and they can favor you in a different country, then you are able to find favorable environments which are going to allow you to export your services from our country and move to a different country and improve your life as an individual, and number two, the lives of Kenyans.
Well said, well said. And feel free to tell us on the comment section below, maoni yako. Like, waonaje, what can be the solution to actually achieving employment in Kenya? Like our leaders ensuring that watu kwa kaunti yao, they have employment opportunities, that education is available to each and every single child within probably the county, within the constitution, within the country. as well. And speaking of leadership, tunavuka kule Western. We know that the president has been making a lot of rounds kule Western, and in the name of bipartisan talks, tunaona kuna vile certain leaders have started praising nimwite Mr. El Presidente. Wameza kumpraise Mr. President, but let's just take a few to listen to what the Mumias East Member of Parliament, that is Salasia Peter Kalera, had to say about Ruto William Samoei.
Wewe ni mtu ambaye uko very wise kabisa. Watu wengi wamekudanganya sana kuhusu mambo yetu ya Mumias hapa, lakini leo umeongea kitu ambayo imeniguza mimi sana. Najua wewe unatafuta pesa ya kujenga ile referral, unatafuta ile ya Buhungu, na wamekupatia mambo mengi sana, hata hadi mimi mwenyewe nakuhurumia. Lakini tena wewe umesema ile ya Nzoia pia unafanyia kazi mzuri, lakini hii yetu ya hapa hii iko na kitu kidogo sana, na hii kitu kidogo hii nimeizungumza kwa mara mingi. Nikasema ya kwamba Mumias, na mimi nataka niungane na ile statement ambayo mheshimiwa amepatiana hapa. Akasema shida ambayo tuko nayo ni moja, ambayo ni cartels ambao wanataka kusimamisha hiyo through the courts. Wewe umepita pale, umeona venye nuclear imedevelopiwa. We don't need anything from you, but tunataka tu order from that, ile mambo ya cases za kotini na ule jamaa wetu wa West Kenya. Na tukishamaliza hapo, wewe hata mimi nitakuinamia tu nakufanyia chenye unataka. Sasa alafu ya mwisho, tangu tuingie mambo ya bipartisan, kuna huyo majority leader ambaye anaitwa Ishungwa. Yani ako sawa kabisa. Sasa wewe sasa uko top.
Now, hayo ndio Peter Salasia had to say. Now, I just have one question to pose. From his statement, from maoni yake Salasia, no, usianze na kicheko kwanza, kwa maoni yake Salasia, do you feel like, kwanza unanipatia your comment on that, but do you feel like the bipartisan talks are actually working, ama hii ni ile kiongozi mkuu, unajua venye mdosi wako akiingia kwa ofisi kisha lazima umsifu kidogo, na usifu wao wengine ndio usije ukapigwa kalamu. What's your take on that?
Salasia is not a serious politician. Is a joker politician. But his role in politics should never be underestimated. His role in politics at all costs should never be underestimated.
No.
Why am I saying this? He's a politician whom many will term a joker, as I've just said. But in real setting, he could make a good leader.
Okay.
So his terms to the president of our country. First, let's start by his response to Kimani Ichung'wah. Kimani Ichung'wah is a very bright and brilliant political leader. He's so influential to a point that you are able to do what his influence demands. Now, here in bipartisan talks, he has really played a key role from the government side and Kalonzo from the Azimio side. So it could be that they have played a well-planned way to incorporate the government and the opposition to bring us to a bigger picture of the fruits of the bipartisan talks.
No.
So when Kimani is leading this team and he's getting now praises all over that he's a good leader and the talks are well. So this could be early indications that the bipartisan talks are successful. Now, Salasia is from Azimio, we all know. Ichung'wah is from the Kenya Kwanza government. Now, when Salasia is praising Kimani that pale kwa bipartisan, Kimani ako sawa. So it's early indications that what was there, what was being discussed in that talks, seems to bear fruits, which we are yet to see. Now, this is now going to bring us to a bigger picture. What are the fruits of the bipartisan talks?
Exactly.
The main agendas which Kimani was channeling there, it was not handshake. But insisted of amending the constitution through the bipartisan talks, so that we can have the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary being created, and at the same time having the office of the opposition being created. Now, that's now what Kimani Ichung'wah was reading in that bipartisan talks. Now, this one brings satisfaction from the government. The government now wants to amend the constitution. One reason, main, is to bring the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. You know, one of the challenges the president is undergoing is to explain to Kenyans, how are you advocating for the 2010 constitution, yet in that office that you've created for Musalia Mudavadi is nowhere to be seen.
It's not in the constitution, yes.
So the government, through the bipartisan and Kimani leading that team, they could try hard as much to hide this shame as early as now. So this will be seeing us going into a referendum and having their constitution amended. And there are either two options. Is either we repeal the constitution, we remove the entire constitution and come up with a new constitution, or we amend some articles of the constitution. So that one will be maybe discussed in the parliament to see the way throughout. And now if we have that conversation, and Azimio want these amendments, so that we have the office of the opposition being created. And if Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga is comfortable with that, and then we went to have that amendment coming through. So, and then now this is now bringing us to this picture. Bwana Rais, just before elections, you were saying we don't want to create more positions for leaders. Instead, we want to bring this money that we are using to create offices, to bring it to the development. Now, this one is going to be again bit challenging to the president. You know, Kenyans and the internet, we say it does never forget. 1 year ago, you were telling us we don't want BBI. You know, BBI was all about amendments of the constitution.
Yes.
Now, a year after election, you are telling us we need that amendment. We will get come to discuss.
No, maneno hivyo kwa sababu when we're looking with that the lawyer and activist Dr. PLO Lumumba, he actually mentioned the same thing, because he and a group of other leaders or other key people were actually vouching for the constitution to be revised, you know. Now, walisema some of the things that they need to relook, first of all, is the question of representation in Kenya, you know. And another thing was the fight against corruption, because unasema imekuwa very much undermined, which in a force like the constitutional amendments to come through. Now, of course, when Lumumba or PLO was actually speaking, walisema, yani, they cannot fail to acknowledge the fact that for the 30 years that the constitution, since the constitution was amended in 2010, right?
Yeah, 2010.
Yes, like Kenya has seen great changes. Na iyo kwanza wamesema they can't refute that, you know. It has seen great changes. But segi kuja sasa, you mentioned something about also the offices that are being created, kwa sababu wamesema the legislature kuna several issues, because they need to at least explain why they have to create like additional offices, which is very unconstitutional, you know. So when you mesema, it raises the question of are we looking at unajua BBI wameikataa kabisa huku nje, you know, people are like no, obvious kuna wale wanasema yes to it, but we've been seeing a lot of unconstitutional changes or unconstitutional decisions happening. So before unajua naona mengi ya kusema but ningependa kuuliza wa Kenya, according to you, do you feel like the constitution should be revised kutokana na how you've seen the changes being made huku nje in regards to probably even the unconstitutional seats that are also being put there in regards to representation huku nje sana sana ya the marginalized communities? Do you feel like kuna changes that need to be there, and if so, which ones? Tafadhali tuambie kwenye comment section. Most definitely we are going to be interacting with you and sharing. Emmanuel Bosiri, uwanja sasa uko kwako. There's something disturbing you. I can see it. Tell us.
When you're talking about the challenges or the issues that have been done against the Constitution, that's now challenging the supremacy of this Constitution. Just like we had in 2010. The entire Constitution that was in place had to be replaced by the 2010 Constitution. And actually, do you know which is the best Constitution in the world?
No, ebu ni chanue.
No, I want you to tell me. Which is the best Constitution in the world?
I am not sure.
So if you take time to investigate well, of course, the first Constitution is the U.S. state Constitution.
Yeah.
And then followed by? So our Constitution
Mwenye
of
ka class hapa
2010,
Eugene sikia waka kuta Eugene Emmanuel na sina wajibu. And then US followed
our
by
Kenyan Constitution is highly ranked to be the one of the best constitution in the world. Now here, when again we try to, what will be happening here is we want to make now this constitution to be more better. We don't want to have cases whereby we are challenging the supremacy of our constitution. So there are small or some few articles that have not been well met, including the IEBC. So there are few articles of the constitution which are being improved day by day. And again, when we try to bring this point of amendment, so like what Lumumba is trying to say is that we're having the best constitution, but again, we want to make it more better. We want to remove some articles which are bringing it a challenging figure. Now, for Mr. President to be seen as one, or before I say that, some few days ago when President became the president,
So when President became the president.
yeah, when President became the president, when William Ruto made it to be a president, we had his daughter
Charlene.
running up in the country doing youth activities.
Yes.
And then it was said she's the first daughter.
Yes.
She said she's the first.
Daughter.
It brought a great reaction all over in the country, both online and offline. People were really worried. And actually, the president had to be questioned about creating the office of the first daughter.
Yeah.
You know, that's something very, 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 very keen for any Kenyan.
Oh, yes.
It's not normal for a president to fight a way to have the office of the first daughter. It's nowhere in the constitution. But if the constitution through the parliament allows us to have the office of the first daughter, and then we will have a challenge in answering that. Now, when the president was all over telling us that BBI is all over creating new leadership position, he forgot that there were other aspects that BBI was right on. Exactly about the creation of the prime minister office and the creation of the opposition. Those were the main key things, and of which other things which should be spoken in detail. Now, if we go to this picture of having a referendum, and then we would say we're having BBI in a different form. Yeah.
Na hivyo ndo venye umekafunga.
Na hivyo ndio BBI itakuja. You know, again, let me tell you, we will have, you know, there are things we should see. First, the Azimio bipartisan talks were basically about the IEBC, how to strengthen IEBC. And yet, we know that elections will be coming in 2027, but still, IEBC is the one responsible to run any referendum or any election, which is being guided by the parliament. So when we start by that one and we see it coming through, and next we're having talks about having the amendments of the constitution, and then before then we'll do public participation.
Definitely, yes.
Through a referendum, whereby it will be run out through the country. Do you want a constitution to be amended, yes or no, or depending which key terms would be used. And if majority of Kenyans will allow, of which I know Kenyans we don't allow. Kenyans we follow leaders. Kenyans we follow politicians. And then if that comes through, we're going to have the amendments of the constitution or the repealing, and then bringing in that BBI that we saw. So Salasia, back to his point whereby he was saying that the president niko tayari kukupigia magoti. It's true that now it's over between opposition and the government. They're speaking the same language, or they're singing the same song, the President Ruto.
Is it true? Is it true? That is just the question that I'm leaving you with. Of course, we've had a very short but healthy discussion. Na Emmanuel ametumalizia na astopa akiuliza the question au akisema watu wanacheza kwa tune ya gitaa ya president, and that we can officially kafunga with the bipartisan talks, because tuona people are going to work together. Kwa maoni yako, is that the case? And if not, pia tuambie what's your take on it. Of course, I have been your host for the day, Tamara Patience, on social media. You can get me on Instagram as Tamara Patience, pale TikTok as t.a.m.r.a.a underscore underscore h. Emmanuel, tuambie watu social media zako misha sahau.
Naitwa Emmanuel Bosire.
Exactly, every single place. So thank you guys for tuning in. We are going to see you. Take care, peace, and love, and unity. We are out.